Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie, Trap. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way I don't get stuck at a concert for over 2 hours whose main demographic is teenage girls. The synopsis is as follows. A man and his teenage daughter realize they're at the center of a dark and sinister event while watching a concert. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. This movie starts off with Cooper and his daughter Riley headed to a concert for one of her favorite artists, Lady Raven. Everything seems to be innocent and fun when Cooper starts noticing that there is a very heavy police presence at this concert. Turns out that the police received a tip that a notorious murderer called the Butcher is going to be there, and they're setting this concert up as a trap to catch him, which presents a problem for Cooper because he is, well, the Butcher. Which unfortunately is not a secret because every trailer released for this movie told you that he was. What follows is Cooper trying to work his way out of this concert without being stopped by police, and also maintaining the integrity of being an innocent dad to his daughter Riley. I thought this movie started off pretty strong, but definitely fell off about halfway through. You are at the concert for the majority of this film, and it's entertaining and even at times funny as you watch Cooper try to find a way out of the concert without being caught. But near the halfway point of this movie, there started being a lot of extremely ridiculously convenient things that would happen that allowed this plot to continue. And though Shyamalan is supposed to be the king of twists, I thought of 3 off the top of my head that would have been excellent twists for this film. None of them happened, and what ended up happening was pretty underwhelming. Concept and delivery are very important parts of plot, and while the concept was interesting, they just could not finish on the delivery. So for me, plot gets a 50-50. 2 is family friendliness. Trap is rated PG-13. There's a mild bit of profanity, including 1 F-bomb, some brief violence, and a couple mildly disturbing moments that aren't focused on for very long. Although the concept of this movie is a bit darker, the content itself was rather tame, but I would still say this film is not targeted towards kids. So use caution, but for me, family friendliness gets a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. Josh Hartnett plays Cooper, or the Butcher, in this movie, and for me, his performance was by far the best. No one else is on screen long enough in this movie to make a lasting impression. There's also a cameo near the end of this movie that I thought was hilarious, and was definitely my favorite part of the film. And the script was interesting. Once again, in the first half of the film, the script seemed to be mysterious and sadistic, but you were still trying to figure things out and it was keeping you in it. But in the second half of the movie, it seemed to just mail it in. Really cheesy, ridiculous lines, and a lot of really clumsy and uninspired dialogue. So while Josh Hartnett's performance was good for the first half of the film, the second half of the film pushed this movie nearly into B-rated territory. So for me, acting and script get a 50-50. 4 is character development. I was extremely disappointed in the trailers for this movie showing that Cooper was the Butcher, because if it didn't spoil that and you found out halfway through the film that Cooper is the Butcher, that would have been some crazy character development and progression. But because they ruined it in the trailers, nobody in this movie gets any character development at all. You know Cooper's the Butcher and he is what he is, and even with the stuff you find out about him, it's more of a dialogue heavy dump near the end of the movie that doesn't amount to much. And the good guy in this movie is a doctor that we don't know anything about, who does not play a pivotal role in the film and gets no progression at all. And though Lady Raven and Riley have a decent amount of screen time in this movie, their characters are as shallow as a kiddie pool. It just seems like horror movies and character development do not go hand in hand, but if they do, it's a home run. But for this one, it was a swing and a miss. So for me, character development gets a thumbs down. 5 is visuals and CGI. If there was CGI in this movie, it was not heavily noticeable. Quite a bit of this movie is you watching the concert and being stuck in the venue, which gave this film a claustrophobic feel, which once again are very difficult films to make unless you do them really well. And for me, this one was riding the line. There were several camera angles though that I really liked. The camera would stay still and a character would step really close to the lens and be in focus, and the camera would not move at all. And it created this eerie feeling for the viewer that I really liked. There wasn't a ton going on visually in this film, but that dynamic in and of itself, I think, was a win. And I don't know that I've seen it done before. For me, visuals and CGI get a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. Trap is an hour and 45 minutes long, but because it's a bit of a claustrophobic film, you feel trapped at the venue. And then after you feel like the movie should have ended, there seemed to be and then, which made the movie drag on and on and on. And I'm not talking about well thought out and entertaining twists. I'm talking about those those plot conveniences that just kept pushing this movie further and further and further, consequently making it worse and worse and worse. Had this movie implemented one of the twists I was thinking about and been about 15 minutes shorter, I think it would have been a decent thriller film. But for what it is, this movie felt kind of bland and didn't amount to much at the end. So for me, rewatchability gets a huge thumbs down. With all these areas considered, I have to give Trap a 5 out of 10. Josh Hartnett's performance and the cameo near the end were the best parts about this movie, and while the plot started off interesting, it definitely faltered about halfway through. Other than that, this movie was a mess of not great writing, mid-acting performances, and a story that continually got worse and just would not end. Unfortunately, it made it feel like the real trap here was getting you to sit through the entire movie. So with all that in mind, I do not think it's worth your time or money to go see Trap in movie theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Trap, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.